Good morning, everyone. This is Christina with Atlantic Institute, and I am here with Alina, and we are joining our cultural creations class. This is a wildflower and calligraphy painting class. And so, Alina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are?
Yeah, of course. So, hi everybody. I'm Alina from Creative Field Designs. That's my business name, and I'm a calligraphy instructor and a letterer and a watercolor artist, and I'm based in the UK, but I'm originally from Latvia. But yes, I'm just outside London, in a small town, and yes, I just fell in love with calligraphy in 2015, and I've built a business out of it, and I love teaching it to others. It's just such a wonderful skill. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the class today.
And this is exciting because we do love the fact that you are in London and we're over here I'm in Georgia. So it's
Oh,
neat
I
to
know.
see, it's neat for us to be able to connect and do this. And just so those that are watching, no, we recorded this just because the time frames are so vastly different.
Yeah.
That this way it was easiest for both of us in the different time zones to make this work.
Yeah.
So the I'm going to spotlight your workspace.
Let me just adjust a bit. Yeah, that'll be
There we go.
better. Okay, we're ready to go. We're ready to get
Okay.
started. All good? Yeah,
All good. Yep.
beautiful. Okay, so I think you all got the material list, so I'm not gonna, talk through it too much, but I will be using watercolor paper, and I highly recommend using watercolor paper when you paint with watercolors, because if you're using like thinner paper, it's just not going to look good, and it might like bleed through your paper. So yeah, just make sure that you've got some watercolor paper ready. And we're going to do a couple of cards. So let's see how many we can actually make today. But what I personally love doing is this. So I normally just take a page, one page out of my pad, and there we go. So this is A4 size, so pretty standard paper size. And I love folding it into half. So I would normally fold it, so just align the corners and then create a fold. So this is great if you want to make like a bigger card. So this is A5, so quite big. But I actually love doing like smaller cards as well. So what I would normally do, I would tear this just with my hand like this. So we're not trimming, we're just literally just tearing it, so it creates this beautiful little rough edge, and it can look really nice actually. And we're going to fold it into half again, and we get the smaller size. So again, align the corners and fold it into half, and we get this beautiful little cute size, I'd say. So this is A6, and it's definitely quite cute looking.
I was
um,
gonna say sometimes that rough edge makes it nice, makes it
Absolutely,
very, yeah.
yeah. And if you are a perfectionist and you don't like that it's only one edge that's rough, you can always go around and just use a ruler and kind of trim it that way. But I'm quite happy with this; it's quite nice. So yeah, I think we can do like smaller cards today. We only got an hour, so it's a bit quicker in a way to paint something that's smaller. So how about we just prepare two or three, I would say three maybe, little cards like this. So I'm just going to take my time as well and fold them, get them all ready. So there we go, that's two, and I'm just going to do one more, so I need another page. So try to fold your paper quickly. So if you do it slowly, you might get like creases where the fold line is. So the quicker you do it, the better. Especially if your paper is a bit thick. There we go. So I might actually do one that's a bit bigger. So we'll have one bigger and two little ones. I think that will look really good. Right, so before we get started with the actual painting and doing calligraphy, I appreciate that maybe some of you have never done calligraphy before, and maybe you're completely new to watercolors. So I'm going to try and kind of guide you through it. We're going to take it fairly slow. So I did say in the supply list that we'll need a brush pen. So I said, I did add a link to this one. It's just like a fine tip brush pen. It's really flexible. It's really nice to work with. This is something I recommend for beginners. It's Tombow. The brand is Tombow. And yeah, so I've got a few. You can also use like different, any fine tip pens that are that have brush tips will do really well. And if you're,
Very neat. Yeah,
yeah,
sometimes I know that you need the right pen to do the job correctly.
yeah, absolutely. So this, I've tested so many tools, and I think the hardest, the hardest thing, when you're starting to learn calligraphy is finding the right tools. So these two pens are just definitely what I recommend from my own personal experience. So Tombow fine tip pen, and this one's by Pentel. So yeah, these are great. So we are just going to cover like really, really like basics of calligraphy to begin with. So this is how you hold the pen, and you want it to be at a slant, so like a 45-degree slant. Okay, so just kind of grip it as you would normally grip a pen like this. Relax your hand and get
Liam, get up. I'm working.
yeah. Okay, get a nice slant, and we're going to try and apply a bit of pressure here. So I'm going to press down really hard, and you'll see that you get like a really thick line, which is great. That's what we want when we go down. So every time you're going to be going down in calligraphy, you're going to be applying heavy pressure so you can achieve this beautiful thickness. Just see how thick it is, even though the tip is really, really small in a way.
Right. Heavy, even pressure too.
Yeah,
Like that's very nice and even.
yeah, absolutely. So it wants to start, quite confidently, and just go in one stroke, like a quick flow to get a really nice thick stroke. Now that's a downstroke, so that's something we call a downstroke in calligraphy. And we can also go upwards. And when we go up, we don't change the way we hold the pen, so just keep it where it is. So a lot of people want to do this, but no, we want to keep it where it is. And we're going to glide our pen, our hand kind of upwards and achieve a really light, thin stroke. So just notice the contrast. So we get a really thick one when we go down, and then we go really lightly on
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
strokes. Yeah. So that's pretty much like the main rule. That's like the only thing you want to remember. Just
The thick strokes are down strokes and the thin strokes are up strokes.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, very good.
yeah. And then you can apply this to the alphabet. So as you do, imagine you're just doing your normal writing, but when you write, how would you go, when you go up, you go thin, when you go down, you go thick. So I'm just doing like a C shape. So we can maybe do a couple of these just to try and start control on the pressure. It's really hard. I know I make it look easy, but it'll come with time. But obviously, this is just like a little introduction, but you can give it a go. And this is,
Absolutely. It looks
yeah,
so pretty and it's just a C.
yeah, it does, doesn't it? And it's quite interesting because in calligraphy, you kind of build letters out of shape. So that's a C shape, and then we add a U shape, and we get the letter A. Or, this is C shape, and we add a little loop shape, and we get the letter D. So it's quite interesting. So it's definitely a bit different from handwriting, where you just do everything in one, like, or joined up.
In
um,
one stroke.
yeah, that's it. So
Right.
we definitely want to pick up our pen quite a few times. You just notice I'm doing the word hello, and I've done this stroke. I'm doing the next stroke, and I'm picking up my pen after every shape, really. So try to think of letters as shapes. Okay, so that'll definitely help you. But yes, I know the transitions can be hard going from thick to thin. It's really tricky to kind of get that transition really smooth. So you want to think of your strokes kind of in advance. So when you're halfway through your downstroke, you want to think about the pressure change already. So yeah, it's something to keep in mind. But as I said, just give it a go today. Don't feel like you have to get it right straight away. It's just nice to practice, really.
I
So
think it helps to know that if you're going down, it's going to be thick. And if you're going up, you want it
exactly.
thin.
Yeah,
That's a good rule of thumb because I would think like, oh, how do I want this to look? and how should I make it creative and look neat? But if I just kept in mind the rule is thick is
That's it.
down and thin is up,
It's
that
nice to have,
helps
yeah, it's
that
nice
helps
to have the
solve the
structure.
creativity issue.
Absolutely, yeah. Once you have the structure, you know what you're doing, so
Mhm.
yeah, help the confidence. So, how about we just practice doing something like good luck, so we can put that on a card and maybe start painting the first card. So, I'm just going to letter it out for you, and you can try this with me. So we can start with the letter G, and again, notice how I'm just kind of lifting up the pen for a second after I do each letter or each shape. And I mean, there's so much more to it, but today I just want you to have fun with it and just give it a go. So that's the word good. And we're going to do
That's
lock.
so gorgeous.
Yeah, it's quite pretty. You know, you're not doing too much. We're just controlling the pressure, but it just makes it look really good. So we're also going to do the word lock underneath. So you can try and kind of copy my style here and just remember the rule of thick and thin and see how that goes. Remember to go slowly. I'm going to finish the letter K like this. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you a moment here to just um, give it a go. Try doing it yourself. Um,
Nice.
it'll happen. So try to make your entry and exit strokes quite long. So there's the first stroke and the last stroke of the word. Always wants to be quite extended. So yeah, it always makes it look a bit better. But yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'll just leave that for a second. I'll prepare my first card.
Very good. So the first stroke and the last stroke, you want to try to make them have the tail
Yeah,
like that, and even like if you because that does balance it out.
absolutely. Just yeah, exactly. So it really helps with the layout, I think.
I'm curious how you get those so straight across. Like those are those the like good is all like
In a
almost in a
straight
straight
line.
line.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So actually, well, if you're a complete beginner, I do recommend using a pencil beforehand, just to like do a little either a guideline where you just do a straight line, or
Gotcha.
yeah, or just like scribble it out before you go over with a pen. And maybe that's something we can actually do on a card together. So when you have a card like this, it's a bit scary, right? Because it's like a blank piece of paper, you know where to start. So what I normally do, I like do a little frame. So just do a line on the left, on the right. I'm kind of eyeballing it, but try to leave like similar spaces in between, like from the edge, from the top
Mhm.
and the sides. So having this little frame is quite a lot already. It just definitely gives you a bit of guidance. And
Yeah, because otherwise I know for me, I'd be like my design could be all over the place, or it could be on one side, or it could be on the other
yeah,
side. So it gives us
absolutely.
at least a like, okay, we're going in this frame.
Exactly, at least something. And if you really want to do, you could do like a little center line as well. You know, it can definitely be just like approximate because you're going to fill the background with flowers. So yeah, it can definitely just be like a little scribble. And we can just go ahead and try using a pencil and do the same thing. So good luck. And I'm definitely just kind of doing like stylized lettering, but it's not calligraphy because we're not controlling the pressure now. We're
Mhm.
doing the outline. But yeah, the thing with the pencil is that you can always erase it, you can rub it out if you don't like it, you know, you can definitely, you're in control. That's what I'm trying to
Very
say.
nice.
Mhm.
That was great. That is like very nice and centered looking and everything. Like
Yeah,
very
so
good.
exactly, like having your line in the middle, I think helps a lot. Okay, and when you're ready, so you can go over with your calligraphy pen. So now it's so much easier because I don't have to think about the layout. I can fully focus on the technique. So going thick down, going thin up, and just take it slow. So this is the most important thing that we try to really slow down. And as you finish the letter, stretch it to the side.
Mhm.
Starting the word lock, so a nice little tail at the beginning. And again, picking up the pen as you finish the shape or a certain letter. So again, stop here, start with the C shape. Do the first part of the letter K, picking up the pen again. So yeah, definitely lots and lots of pauses to help you to help you breathe, right? Because you know what's
Hmm.
happened. There we
Well,
go.
you do tend to hold your breath when you're focused on this, and
Yeah, yeah,
remember
absolutely.
sometimes breathe.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, but I thought I would remind you that. Okay, so now we can get rid of these center lines and everything else in pencil. You do want to wait for this to dry. Sometimes it takes a bit of time to like dry properly. So I'm just being careful. We can leave this to later maybe, but I'm just getting rid of these lines. Okay, so this is where we can start playing with watercolors, and we're just going to do some like a really nice simplistic wildflower design around the card. It's going to look like a little pattern. So I'm going to grab my mixing palette. So I highly recommend having a mixing palette. So I'm just going to adjust this. Yeah. Because it's really nice to be able to like dilute your paint a bit more or mix up some interesting colors. So I've got my watercolor palette here and my bottled water, so that's also something we need. And I've got a few brushes here, so I think I'll be using something like number 5 for this, or maybe number something small, number 6, 7, or 5 would be great. Okay, so just a couple of brushes here, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this one. And we're going to start by mixing like a nice green shade. So let me put the camera higher so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So I'm going to wet my brush in water. So I'm just rinsing, giving it a quick rinse. And you might just have one color, one green color in your palette, which is fine. I have a few, so I'm just going to pick up this like regular looking green. I mean, it's quite bright actually. So I'm mixing it up in my watercolor palette and I'm transferring it into here, adding more water as I go. And you'll see that it's like really bright. When you use your paint straight from the palette, it can look a little bit, like superficial, almost as if, it lacks like its natural element. So
Right.
yes, it's really nice to like add some different colors to it to make it look a bit more natural. So you would rarely see this color in nature. I mean, maybe, but I think if you add a little bit of brown, for example, now that's how it starts to change. So it definitely gets a bit more muted. Or you could also add a little bit of red, just a tiny bit to like tone it down. Yeah, so definitely starts to look a bit more foresty, a bit more natural. So that's what we're looking for. You can always balance it out by adding more green and then make it interesting by adding brown or a little bit of red as well.
And then I noticed that you add water back and forth too. So you're actually
Yeah.
like you're um add it's like making more paint. It's there's a different word I can't think of, but it's like you're adding more water to it too. So
Yeah,
it
so
does look very watery like that too.
yeah, so that's the texture we kind of want to go for. So it doesn't look like a little puddle, you don't want puddles, but it wants to be quite watery, quite diluted. So that's what watercolors are all about. They're called
Very
watercolors for a
cool.
reason. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we definitely want to add maybe like 5. I do it like probably like 3 or 4 times where I transfer water from my cup into here. So
Yeah. See, I
yeah,
think I would totally have been like thick paint.
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
So
I think that's really common. Like when you start working with this medium, you just don't know, right? So you
right. You don't
yeah,
know the thickness of your paint.
exactly. But yeah, there we go. So that's what we're looking for. So you don't need a lot of paint. This is plenty. So yeah, don't feel like you need to like fill up your palette. Okay, and we're just going to start painting these like really fine lines. So just around your calligraphy here, we're gonna do super thin. So again, we're applying really, really light pressure. And maybe you're gonna do a little stalk kind of there. Let me actually zoom in. It's quite might actually add a tiny bit more green so it's a bit more visible for you guys. But it's nice when it is quite translucent, but you can also I can also make it a bit more saturated so it stands out a bit more. So yeah, really light little stalk, and then we can extend little lines out of it. And this is where we're going to leave it for now. So we're just going to do a lot of these all around this little card, and you can position them in any way you want. So you definitely want to kind of frame your calligraphy. So try to think of it that way. So maybe doing like 3 or 4 lines out of this main stalk. So super thin. And I find if you hold your brush upwards a little bit more, it definitely helps with the pressure. It helps to create this really thin line, which is what we want. So yeah, I'm just going around it, doing a few of these. That's the first step. And there's just one more step to add. We're going to do flower heads in like a lovely blue color, and it's going to look pretty. But yeah, let's just do quite a few of these, and they can be positioned differently, coming down from the side or like hanging from the top. It's really up to you. Get creative here.
Yeah, very neat. Very neat.
Yeah, it's quite hard to do a thin line, same as in calligraphy, but try your best. Try to hold your pen, your brush upright. It definitely helps. Okay, so quite a few little branches here, quite natural looking. And we're gonna now pick up some blue color. Actually, sorry, I thought that we can do a little like an upside down triangle at the top of some of these lines, like to prepare. This will be like a base for the flower head, so we can do a
For
few
a
of these.
flower, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
And
just
you're using just a little bit more, you're using the same color, but just a little bit more pressure probably, or a little bit more of it to make it a little bit
yeah,
darker.
yeah. So
It
I'm just like
looks,
I'm doing the outline of like an upside down triangle first, and I'm just like dabbing in more paint to like color it in.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this definitely helps. And yeah, you can do a few. You don't have to do them everywhere, but just maybe a couple on each branch. So for now, at least, we can always add more. You're going to rotate your card to help you access some of the ones that kind of hang upside down. It can be a bit hard. And be careful, don't smudge, try not to smudge anything. It can be really hard, to keep everything neat because your hand literally like moves around a lot. So it can be so
Right.
hard. Yeah, be
So I
careful.
think sometimes it's good to start, right? If you're a beginner, start at the top maybe and work your way down.
Yeah, that's so true. I think I never think about these things because like I
Or
just
rotate, like you just moved the card around. So I mean, you can
yeah,
always move the card around too.
I think moving the card around is a good one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I've done craft things before and then I forget like, oh, I just so hard and I'm getting it and I'm like, oh, I can move the card. Duh, I could do this. Was like, duh, I could do that stuff.
Yeah, it's such a simplistic thing, isn't it? But it's easy to forget. There we go. Right, so yeah, just quite a few here. We can always add more. And now we're ready for the flower heads. So you're gonna pick up some really nice blue color. So I've got some blue here, and it wants to be fairly dark. So even if you don't have like a super dark blue, you can just pick up some like regular blue and add some black or again brown to it. That can look quite good. So I'm again picking up some brown from my palette and maybe adding a little bit. That's quite a lot. So I'm going to balance it out with blue. But yeah, just work with blue and brown to get like a darkish blue color. And that will look really, really good.
Oh, I like that color.
Yeah, it's quite good actually. I like it too. It's like a moody sea color.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Now we just have to the flower heads, and this it's a really easy step. So we are just going to do lots of lines coming back to that base that we painted. Okay, so I'm just starting like from the top and going down and coming back to the same base and attaching lots and lots of these wildflower, the blue wildflower style flower heads, and they just look really, pretty. I would say it's so simplistic in a way, but
They are very sweet.
yeah, just a nice little element. And we're going to do that to all of them. So take your time. They want to be like medium thickness. Try to keep them thin, but But because it's really hard to keep them thin, they will turn out because they kind of hate that. So
Well, I think it's interesting that some of them are the thicker towards the base there, and then they fan out. As they fan out, they're lighter. That looks very good. Um,
yeah,
question for you: since water is a very big part of the watercolor, do you only have one cup of water that you're dipping into and rinsing, or do you have a couple of different ones so that there's no color transfer, or
yeah,
is that okay?
that's a really good question. So I would normally say you can have one if you're not painting like too much. So sometimes I'll have one to mix up my paints and another one to like actually paint with because we're not doing a lot of mixing today. But sometimes you want to prepare like 7 colors before you start painting, like mix maybe red and white together so you get like a nice pink.
Hmm.
And in that case, yes, your water is just going to get really muddy looking, and you definitely want to have another one before you start painting. But for something small, when you're not using too much paint and you're not painting a big design, it's not, yeah, it's quite okay. You will notice if it gets really brown, it's time to change it. But usually,
Okay.
it normally wouldn't really affect it. So yeah. So there we go. And so once you've done your flower heads, we can then go back to the green and maybe you can make it a bit more saturated by adding in a tiny bit more green and a tiny bit more brown again. So rinse your brush in between as you do it. And we can just go around these little stems and we can actually just add like smaller ones and leave them with a little triangle there instead of doing like the whole flower head there. So it will look quite nice because when you think of wildflowers, they are quite sometimes they're like quite busy looking, right? There's a lot going on. Sometimes they're
Right.
overgrown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
So
sometimes they have a lot of extra things on them. They're a little weedy
exactly.
looking.
Yeah, that's it. So we're just trying to make the design a bit more busy looking here. So yeah, just like odd little elements there, but that's pretty much the last step. So you can take it as far as you like, and maybe you want to add some like spikes as well, just like little lines here and there.
Yeah, we have wildflowers that grow outside over here, and we've picked them before for the teachers in the past, before getting on the bus to go to school. And so we've grabbed them, and I know I'm familiar with like sometimes there's a lot of there's a lot of little buds growing on a
Yeah,
stem.
and
There's
it's
many
beautiful.
aspects to it you don't think of.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, you always want to try and kind of imagine when you're painting watercolors. It's nice to have real reference actually. So if you're able to get some, actual branches of wildflowers, go ahead and do it. It's always so much fun, kind of looking at it and trying to paint it. But yeah, this is just like a little simplistic thing we can try together. So there we go. As I said, you could have filled it up a bit more, but I think sometimes less is more. I
I
want
was
to,
just gonna say, less
yeah,
is more too.
yeah, I want to leave a bit of a space in the background. But there we go. So that's our first card. I think it looks quite pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna take this one. I'm gonna leave that a sec. And I'll get ready painting another one with you guys. So shall we do, I'm thinking we could do well done one. The one that says well done because it's quite nice. I think it's the time when people are taking exams as well. So
Oh, yes,
at least in the
yes.
UK, I don't know about you guys. When do exams happen?
Um, so we're in the South, and I will tell you, our school here is done, but in the North,
Oh, okay.
school still has the rest of this month. So there's a lot of
Interesting.
exams that are done, but there's a lot of graduations right now. So there's about a
Right.
period of a good month or so where there's graduations.
Okay, so yeah, that'll be a good card to give, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do the same thing, in terms of planning our design. So we're just going to do a little frame. But this time we're going to do well done. So two words. And again, just use your pencil to do a little scribble here. Plan it out. You want to keep your calligraphy fairly small, just because I feel like it looks better that way when it's not like overpowering your card and you're still painting something in the background, so it's nice to balance it all out.
So all of the extra lines that you have, is that your own unique style?
Yeah, I mean it can be, but it is something you want to try and do in calligraphy, like adding in, as I said, like longer lines at the beginning and at the end. I
Right.
also I also do something that's called bouncy lettering style. So that's just like a calligraphy style where you bounce letters up and down. So you can see here. So it's not really sitting on a baseline. It's definitely a bit like up and down.
Right. Right.
And it's called bouncy calligraphy. And yeah, that's there's definitely something I do, and I definitely have a bouncy style naturally. And so yeah, there are definitely lots of different styles. There are more classic looking ones like copper plate. I'm sure you've seen some of that. And there are more like modern. So this is called modern calligraphy, where you learn the rules, but then you break them a little bit to just make it a
Right.
bit
Right.
more
Right.
fun.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. So right, I'm going to go over now with a brush pen, just focusing again on dividing each letter into shapes and picking up my pen frequently. So just notice how slowly I'm doing it as well. I mean, I might actually be going too fast because I know I make it look easy, but it's not easy at all, and I know. So if you're not seeing the same results, I just want you to know it takes a bit of practice, but I'm sure whatever you're doing looks beautiful too.
How long have you been doing this?
So I started practicing in 2015. So
Uh-huh.
almost a decade.
Almost a decade. And do
Yeah,
you do cards a lot for people? Do you do them or do you do them for business?
yeah. So I used to like I had I mean I still have an Etsy shop. I used to do a lot of bedding stationery and like personalizing and all that. And I still do a little bit of that, but I think I'm mainly teaching now because I definitely feel very passionate about teaching others how to do this. And yeah, that's where I think I enjoy teaching much more than packaging orders. So
Right. Yes. Yeah. There's a
yeah,
lot more fulfillment and fun in
absolutely. Yeah. And I think yeah, it took me a while to kind of realize that. But I still take on some projects from time to time, but I'm definitely a bit more selective about them. So
right.
at the moment, I've got some bedding pieces going on, which is fun, but I just don't want to be like super busy with that because that's not something I truly want to be doing. um,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah, but there we go. Doing classes like this is a lot of fun, and you always like get a lot out of it when everybody's happy, they've created something, and just really rewarding, I think.
Have you been doing classes online, like group classes, like everybody's online and doing things?
Yeah, so I have
Yeah.
been actually since lockdown. I used to teach in person a lot, but these days, yeah, it's definitely all online, and I do courses and lots of like challenges for people that are often free, by the way. So yeah, definitely. If you want to
Well, I
learn,
know it is fun to do that because it is fun to kind of interact even virtually.
yeah,
And all the women and men, whoever was on here, that
yeah,
they tend to have fun and chit chat
yeah,
and share
totally,
and
yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do like something a bit different. So I want you to try maybe and add a bit more brown to your green if you can, just to get it like to this really, really I'm sorry, you can't see. So this like darkish, like mossy green color.
ah,
Yes, again, when you think of wildflowers, sometimes they're a little bit like brownish looking, aren't they? And we're gonna do something really similar where we just like do really thin lines. And I want you to go as thin as you can here. So super delicate. So again, we're just doing a few stems and we're
and
going
that's
to,
a 5 brush. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So that's a fire brush. And I'm just trying to apply such a light pressure that I'm barely touching the page. And notice how I'm going a bit slower as well, just to really get that delicate touch and a bit slower. Um, Doing it slower will definitely help. So yeah, let's do maybe 3 of these, maybe 4. Then we're gonna do something else here. So super delicate. And here as well, we can like do a little, either like a little circle or again like a little triangle shape, just to show that this is where the base of the flower will be. Okay. Lovely. And we can also just do some like leafy, I'm going to do one more, sorry. And then we can do some leafy branches around. That'll look good. So again, super thin hairline strokes. And a little dab of paint here, a bit of pressure to get that darker base. Okay, so then we can grab some more greens. I'm just wetting my brush. And we can just do some leaves. So we can do a little stem. And to do a leaf, we're going to start thin and then apply a bit of pressure and then finish thin again. Okay, so it's a bit tricky. So coming back to the base here, to the stem, we're going to start thin and press down, drag, and then lift the pressure. And then we get like a thin top here. So thin, dragging the belly of the brush across the page and then lifting the pressure. That's how we get a leaf shape.
Oh, nice. Very pretty.
Yeah. Again, might take a bit of practice, but just give it a go. So again, a thin line, and then we can start from the top. I find that it's easier. And see, this is where the rotation of the card comes into play again. So you can
Absolutely.
definitely do this. So, I think it's hard to do that end bit where you go thin at the end. So see if you can slow down maybe.
Right, to slow it down.
Yeah. And maybe don't pick up your pen right away. So you can definitely leave it there before you pick it up.
I think sometimes even with all of these craft things, it's remembering that it's the journey, it's not the final destination.
Absolutely.
Because I
Oh,
think
yes.
for me, where I just struggle with some of these things is because I want it to look this way at the end, and I'm
Yeah.
struggling my way through it versus thinking of each piece individually first as it's, and and having fun with the whole project. I try to get to the finish.
Oh, absolutely. And especially with watercolors, very often it looks better when it dries. It's so,
Right.
so true. And how many times I had given up because I thought, oh no, this is going nowhere. And then I come back to it next morning and just think, oh, well, actually,
Right.
actually
That looks
worked.
really good because I think
Yeah,
when it dries, it's the colors settle on the paper
I think
that
so.
are
Yeah.
suspended in the water. And so it's
Yeah.
like it's like, oh, that looks really gorgeous now.
Absolutely. There's something about it, and it's quite funny, isn't it? But yeah, to definitely try to persist with it. Yeah, highly
Yeah.
recommend.
Have you ever done ceramics where you made a mug or anything like that and painted it?
I've
And
done it, yeah, I've done it with acrylics, but acrylics are so different. Like what?
acrylics are very different than the
Yeah,
ceramic because it looks horrible when you make it with the
yeah, absolutely.
ceramics until it fires. And then when it fires, that paint changes
Oh
color.
yeah, I know what you mean. Yes, we
And
did.
and you're
Yeah, we did my daughter's like handprint on like her family.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, it was the same thing.
And
Yeah,
then when it's done, it's like, oh, now it looks good. But
I
before
know
you're
it's
painting it
crazy.
and
I
you're
was
not
very
loving it,
shocked.
and
Yeah.
everybody says, just trust it, it's okay. And then you go, oh, now it looks good.
That's so true. I remember that so well. Okay, so I'm just adding on like a different type here. So I'm going to do these little flowers that look like a bit like lavender. So we're doing a little stalk and then we're adding like two bigger leaves at the bottom. So I'm going
Yes.
to have a thin line here. And then we're adding with the same technique, we're just adding these like taller, bigger, bigger leaves and see how many you can squeeze in. I think I only have space for maybe two or three. So that's fine. But yeah, try to find space in your card. Okay, so at the moment we have lots of leaves, lots of stalks. So I think it's time to add some beautiful flowers in there. And I'll teach you how to mix like my favorite color. I love, love, love this color. So it's going to be this like really pale kind of looking dusky pink. And we're going to need a bit of white for it. So I'm using this tube just because I ran out of white in my palette. But surely you have white. Normally palettes have white in them. So I'm
That's how
just
you know what color you like the best when you run out of it first.
yeah. I love adding white to like different colors because it just makes them look like really pastel looking and soft. And yeah, there's definitely something beautiful about that. So now I got white, so you can pick up a bit of your white and mix it with water. And then when you're ready, rinse your brush and we can pick up a bit of red. So any red will be fine. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to use this dark red, I think. And you only need a little bit. So start with a little bit and you'll start mixing. You'll notice that it turns into this really light looking like pale pink. And at the moment it looks a bit bright, which is fine, but I want mine to be a bit more like dusky looking, a bit more muted. So actually we can take a bit of this green, but just a tiny bit, and add it in there and mix around, and it's definitely going to mute it. So notice how it just becomes a bit more grayish. So yeah, I think that looks really good. Okay, so there we go. And we're going to start working with these stems with the little bits that we painted first, little triangles. So we're going to do this where we go back to this base and then we flatten our brush and we just do a little wiggle like that, and it just creates this beautiful blob that looks like a lovely little wildflower head. So you can just move your brush around a little bit in any direction and then just come back to that base. Okay, so
Oh,
really
nice.
yeah, really soft looking. Oh, there was a little blob. I didn't mean to do that. It's okay, it happens. I might just actually dab it with something. If this happens, actually, it's a good example. You can take a bit of tissue and like dab it, and sometimes we'll clean it right away. So mine's still dab, but that's fine. I'll make something out of it. Yeah, let's just
I was
have
gonna say sometimes it could be just like a rubbing, like it gives a little
true.
definition. If
Yeah,
I'm interested to see what you make out of it, but I'm thinking like sometimes you could have a little bit of a rubbing. Those are very pretty. I like that color. It's a very muted like rose almost
yeah,
like.
you're right. Definitely, it definitely looks really good. I think that's what, yeah, it's definitely my favorite. I just love it. I mean, I don't love like wearing it, or I don't love seeing it like um on my wall or whatever. I wouldn't paint my wall this color. Or maybe I would, but I just love this in watercolors, especially in flower paintings. It's just so pretty.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you can definitely make them quite fluffy looking. So you can always go back, and if you have space, you can definitely just add like a little fluffed up layer to it like this. Okay.
Very nice.
Beautiful. Lovely. And so yeah, that's where we'll leave these. And to do the lavender, so we definitely need some purple. So I'm just picking up some purple from here. And you'll see, again, from your palette, if you use it straight from the palette, it might look a little bit like dark and just again, like quite artificial in a way. We can add a little bit of this pink to it to mute it down. So it'll create
Right.
like a softer look. There we go. And then, so to do the lavender, we are going to go back to these like longer stalks.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start, so remember the first one we did, the blue flower, but we're going to do it in layers. So we're going to do one little one at the top, and then
Mm-hmm.
we're going to do another one on one side, and another one on the other side. And just keep going around the stem like that, okay?
Right.
So there we go. And just do that to all of them. So we only have a couple here. Oh, I'm so sorry. I think I need to get my partner because my baby woke up. Is that all right? I'll be 1 minute.
No problem.
Okay, thank you so much. So yeah, just keep doing this and I'll be back in a jiff.
Very good. I love the little pink colors over here. And I love how it just all starts to take place. And the purple lavender, the way it's all fanned out, looks very pretty. It's all very simple strokes, but when you see the whole picture, it looks like it pulls it all together. I hope all of you are enjoying this, and I hope that all of you are um, painting or practicing some calligraphy style. I will get her link and information later so that I can stick that in the chat.
Hey, I'm so sorry. I think my partner popped out, but the baby was sleeping and he woke up. So can we cut this?
Sure.
Yeah, I just need to quickly feed him and yeah, we're almost done
Sure.
anyway, but
There you go.
okay, so yes, we're just gonna add in these lavenders. So let's start from this one. And I'll just do like a little row of these flowers. And
I
this,
think I would have to Google what lavender even looks like because I know kind of what it looks. I've seen fields of it, but not up close to know.
oh, interesting. Like in the UK, like we got them in everyone's garden. It's just like such a
Yes, no,
popular.
not here.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, of course, the climate is different and all that. So yeah. Okay, well, yeah, that's pretty much the end result. I mean, you can always add some like spikes here for a bit more detail. You can like add in some more layers on your leaves. You can always go over them again with like darker paint. But this is the end result, and I think it's quite soft and subtle looking, but I think it's beautiful. And I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Very much.
Yeah, trying something new, a bit different, and there we are.
I think that little lavender in the bottom left corner needs some extra, but they're very good.
Oh yeah, that's true. Sorry. Let me
I
just.
was like, I think it's lonely. It's missing some extra
Yeah,
pieces.
it is
But
a bit long. There
I
we go.
love it. I love it. Very good.
Lovely.
And um thank you so very much. Now,
Thank
do you
you.
have let me just remove the spotlight for a second. Do you have a website or you have a link or anything like that?
Oh yes, absolutely. So my website is just creative field design. So as my logo, can you see my logo here? I'm not sure actually. So yes, it's just creative feel. So creative and feel as a feeling
Ah, okay.
design.com. And
Okay.
yeah, you'll
All
find
right.
me.
And I'm gonna stick that in the YouTube description.
Oh, amazing. Yes, please.
Okay.
That'd be nice.
Do you have your classes through there?
Yes, you can find a
Okay.
lot of free stuff and like yeah, my classes and courses on there as well. So yeah,
Yes.
I'd love to have you there. Thank you guys.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so very much, Alina. I appreciate
much.
it.
Thank
You
you. It was
you
been
have a
nice.
good rest of the afternoon.
You too. Thank you so much.
All
I hope to
right.
see you again. Bye.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.